Hola, and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including OKKO Let's Be Heroes, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm your host for today, Alex Bonilla, and I'm joined by Michelle Anderer.
Hello.
And Steve Zeck.
Hi.
And today we'll be discussing, specifically, getting back on the OKKO bandwagon. We'll talk about the 8 most recently aired episodes. We're going to talk Glory Days, Plaza Olympics, We Got Hacked, Parents' Day, Back in Red Action, Let's Take a Moment, and the most recently aired episodes of Villains Night Out and Villains Night In. So basically we'll be covering the entire last 30 days of episodes that have gone on. You can find more about this podcast, our past OKKO pods, at overlyanimated.com. You can also subscribe to us on iTunes at overlyanimated.com/iTunes. We'll appreciate your ratings, your comments, reviews, however you want to communicate with us. And you can also find Overly Animated on your preferred podcatcher. But yeah, we'll be talking about those 8 episodes in particular. We've got a lot to cover. We've got some plot. We've got some wackiness to talk about.
All good episodes. I don't think really is a clunker among them.
Yeah, let's get right into it. Just talking in general. How do you feel about this batch? What episodes stood out to you the most? Or what are your general impressions right now with OKKO? Steve, you seem more eager to talk, so let's go to you first.
Okay, I think all the episodes are fine. A little maybe too early to rate tonight's episode, but I think the one that definitely stands out the most is Back in Red Action. I don't know, maybe we should save that episode for last. Let's talk about all the other episodes. I know. But of tonight's episode, I am a little more convinced that Professor Villainous is the shadowy figure. Though I'm not sure if Fink is aware of it, because, or if she is, though, maybe she has a good reason why she really wanted to go after KO. Because if only she knew that his alter ego could potentially be after her job. So that's interesting. And I love, and these episodes are all fine. I like the one we met Eating's parents. That was pretty interesting. We got an Ellie mentioned. When's she gonna come back? I'm anxious.
That's a very, very small detail to take out of this.
And we finally got the answer about the sandwich, the mysterious sandwich story. We finally got some context.
Yeah, finally.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for covering all the headlines here that we're going to talk about in this episode.
Back in Red Action. It's an episode everyone here at Overly Animated needs to see, even if they don't watch OKKO regularly. So.
I agree with that.
Yeah, Michelle, what are your general thoughts on all of this?
I confirm my previous perspective that the show's just it's really hitting its stride. It's all the episodes are just getting more and more enjoyable as the weeks go on, and I'm just so happy where we are in the show right now. It's just every episode's so great. And it's really, I was thinking what's going to be a top episode, and taking out personal preferences for really gay stuff. It's really hard to pick. I mean, I loved Glory Days. I love Parents' Day. Back in Red Action is awesome. But even Let's Take a Moment was really good too and very satisfying. Yeah. And the 2 we got tonight, it's just really hard to pick one because a lot of them are just so strong. Strong as any episodes we've seen this season. So I've just ultimately been really, really impressed and happy with what we've been getting recently.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the same boat as you guys. I can't really find a bad episode in this bunch. Even with stuff like Plaza Olympics or We Got Hacked, which is a bit more goofy of these batches, but they're really funny, and they have at least We Got Hacked gets its tone really well of the creepiness, and Plaza Olympics just brings side characters you don't think about and makes them interesting to watch.
All the episodes are good, and not all of them are plot related. You don't need plot to be a good episode, as we see in this batch.
Yeah, and that's not just something I wanted to bring up, because we have several plot elements that are brought into this. We're going to talk about Point. We're going to talk about Professor Venomous. But at the same time, I wanted to get your take. Are you more interested in the show for the humor side of it or the plot side of it? Because at this point, the show has won me over to the point where, I don't really care if it's a plot episode anymore. If it's just a goofy episode, I have no issues with it. And to the point, I think some of them I enjoy more than the plot episodes. I don't know if that's a weird take to have here, or how do you guys feel on the difference between the two types of episodes we get in this show?
Want me to go? Okay. I feel though, I'm most interested in is not even the plot or goofiness, is just the character episodes, the character arcs. Like, know more about what's going on with Carol and Mr. Gar. See more of that, and of course, see more of maybe something with with Eden and Elodie, or stuff like that, or or even stuff like, even though we covered this last time, the whole Rad Shannon stuff, that seemed interesting too, and of course the robot family in general. The plot's fine. The plot is interesting, though. Really, if you give me a good, strong character episode like Bag and Red Action, I'm fine. It satisfies me.
Okay, Michelle, your thoughts on that, and just like how plot is actually important to this, or do you not really care? How do you feel?
I mean, I agree with Steve. I think the characters are the number one thing I'm here for. And I think OKKO has found this really good balance of, focusing a lot on characters so that we have a strong enough emotion to care about what's going to happen when something plotty eventually shows up. But I don't even think that's the show's main interest. I mean, it took so long to get the backstory on the sandwich, right? And we finally did, but man, it's been almost 40 episodes in to get it. So, I mean, I appreciate that about the show, because I agree. I mean, I think it's more interesting to just have really good, funny things come out of really interesting character moments. And the fact that they're just we got such a huge cast of even minor characters in this show in particular that we can have a lot of fun with every now and again. I think that's a really enjoyable part of the show. And I'd rather just enjoy them existing and interacting than always have plot stuff going on. So I'm really satisfied with the level the show is committed to that as of now.
And it's not just our main character. I feel like the Boxman's children are just as much part of these characters as our main trio, or Mr. Gar.
Or even the random people in Plaza Olympics. They I cared about them. I thought they were amazing and funny and silly. And I really like that we get to see a bunch of these random characters pretty often throughout the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, characters have been a strength of this show so far, and moving into the headlines here, I guess. What do you want to talk about more? Do you want to talk about points, or do you want to talk about Red Action? I feel like
we can get point out of the way.
Yeah.
Okay, well let's go there first, because
there a question for all of us we have to ask about when we're done.
Yeah, but there are some new characters here, because we do actually finally see Point in full. The two episodes will be focusing. Yeah, the two episodes we'll be focusing on here are Glory Days, and the other one is Let's Take a Moment. So there we get 2 Point flashbacks, and so we have the full team as it was back in the day. We have Carol being Silver Spark, Mr. Gar being Elbow, and we have new additions, the three main guys, Foxtail, Laser Blast, and Dr. Grayman, and an extra sidekick with Carol and Mr. Gar, Rippy Roo, the kangaroo. Mm-hmm. Any preferred new additions here, or anybody stick out?
Much?
Well, Foxtail was amazing, but for some reason, I enjoyed Rippy-Roo, even though I can, even his name is kind of a lot already. Something about him was kind of charming, and I don't know how this show was able to do that, because so often shows are oh, this is going to be really cute, and it's actually super annoying. But I genuinely like Rippy-Roo, and his pouch seems like a pretty cool power.
I love Rippy-Roo too. He's hilarious. I don't know what I can say about Rippy-Roo, but should I just say it now? The question is: Laser Blast KO's dad? I mean, that seems to be logical here, maybe, but
yeah, that's interesting, because that theory I think had come up way far back when we had the whole Your Greatest Fear episodes. People were already bringing that up, so there's definitely fuel here, as we see. Silver Spark and Laser Blast have a relationship. They're supposedly dating by the next episode. Nice cutaway gag to them licking a lollipop together. That was slightly disturbing, but
he's hold on to this for me.
I do say though, if Venus is not Miss Shadowy Figure, then Laser Blast is suspect number 2 to perhaps be Shadowy Figure. If you want to
Yeah.
go for that.
Yeah, we're left with a lot more questions than answers with these because at the end of let's take a moment. Laser Blast goes into this lair of some villain, and he gets victimized by two of the power balls that were introduced in that episode, where he gets shrunk and then he gets thrown into a black hole, and it seems that just disappeared, and it's just left there. But do we think that Laser Blast is alive even?
There's the potential for him to be like, it's a mystery, right? They never saw his body, so for all we know, it could have been. There could be more to the story.
If he is alive, if he is alive and he KO's dad, perhaps at least something. Because I do think you could be going with some like Anakin Skywalker, Luke Skywalker here, with KO being Luke and and Laser Blast being Anakin, or Darth Vader. If he is shadowy figure, if it's not venomous, so.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that stood out to me rewatching this, at some point when they discover these power-sucking balls, he says something like, "We could use these against our enemies," and the Foxtail's like, "No, we shouldn't do that. We're the heroes. We gotta get rid of them."
Yeah.
But like already, they are planting seeds. Like, well, something's up with this guy. But Silver Spark seems to like him. And also here we have the explanation of the sandwich gag that we've been coming to so many times. How do you feel about Elbow trying to express his feelings?
Oh, Elbow! I really like seeing him like this, like really awkward and nervous and not super aware of how to use his strength for the potential it has. And his like name being Elbow is like kind of sweet in a way. I mean, he has really bad timing. I think that's what it comes down to. Yeah. But like, I can't be too mad at him. He decided he was gonna make his move and nothing was gonna stop him. Not even the person he was making the move to. Yeah. And just like that, he felt so guilty for so long. I think that says something too. Like he really, really he got down on himself about it. And Carol had already forgiven him years later, and he didn't even realize. So yeah, it was bad timing. But like, I'm not that mad at him, honestly.
Bad timing. But in a way, in the long run, probably saved Carol from whatever would have happened.
Yeah. She brings that up later. She's like, if you stopping us going in there could have saved us from getting exposed to the ball power too.
And Mr. Guard though, one reason why I kind of want to see him more be sort of a mentor to Rad, because his awkwardness sort of reminds me of Rad when we saw him his flashback. And
that's true.
Yeah, I could see something like that.
And also, like, the show has been doing a little bit of Mr. Gar KO interaction, where Mr. Gar is kind of failing at mentoring KO, but like now that we have a bit more of like Mr. Gar having failed at in his past and trying to mend those mistakes, and like it's good lessons for KO to take, I guess, in the long run. And it's interesting that there in that final scene, Carol is like, "Oh yeah, I forgave you a long time ago," and all. But then we have that ending scene where she goes off to the dojo, and like this part took me for a loop because like communicating with some secret entity of saying something like, "Carol checking in. No, everything's under control. No need to send the unit. Understood." So is Carol evil?
I don't think so. I just think maybe she might still be working for Point or something. I doubt that.
Yeah, maybe because we know canonically that Mr. Gar left after that incident, but we don't know if Silver Spark left immediately. So maybe she is still working for them secretly. For what reason secretly, I don't know, but it could be.
Maybe, yeah. Who knows? It could something to do with shadowy figure. Maybe they're trying to catch him, trying to get him out of hiding. I don't know. Of course, something to do with someone like Villainous. Or some of the other like real villains, pretty much. That's real not villains. Boxman. As we established tonight, that they don't consider Boxman a real villain. He's Boxman.
Yeah, I guess Carol still helping out Points like that would be a nice thing. I kind of want them to turn her evil though. I
think she would be pretty cool evil.
Because it'd be so weird because I don't think I know of a show that's done this where like a very sweet, unassuming character turns evil this far into the show. Like we've seen her in so many episodes, and then for her to turn like that would be a very strange move. But and also like I think there are hints here because her like right at this time being like, okay, I forgive you now. Like you've had all this time to try broaching this topic, and you've never done it until now. Just when this robot appears, the same one that you attacked back when you were with Point. I think in the first episode in Glory Days, KO pulls out the eye of that robot. So it seems that she still has that around for some, and it might be connected. Like I don't know. Like I get that the logical explanation would be okay. She's still helping out the good guys, but like I think there's a door here for something a little extra.
I don't know, but I mean that would be really interesting. Clearly, something extra is going on. I don't know if she has enough motivation to turn evil, though. Like, what would be the point?
Yeah,
that's true as well. We don't have much on that. We don't have much on that side.
I think we have enough of like evil, like mom theories with Steven Universe. So.
Oh God, yeah, that's true.
It's Carol Rose Quartz.
Oh man.
So we have that Point side, and the other big plot thing, I guess, is Professor Venomous showing up again, making his grand return. That they have this this terrible night out at the yacht.
You mean wonderful, magical, lovely night?
Oh man,
so romantic. This was romantic, Alex.
Oh, okay. Well, are we keeping the ship alive?
Well, I mean, I think it came back in full force.
It definitely feels something there.
They did propose to each other at the end, right? Like, did he kneeled?
Wait, I just got some new information here. Look on Wikia. It turns out not only is Venomous and Shadow Figure voiced by the same actor, but so is Laser Blast. Oh, this actor also voices Laser Blast. So, Shadow Figure suspect just by voice actors. Now that's a possibility with Laser Blast just as much as Professor Venomous.
Is Professor Venomous Laser Blast?
Voice, so that makes a lot of sense to me.
But anyway, Venomous. He continues definitely to remind me of Toffee in a way, and just the way he carries himself.
Toffee
very
from Star
slick,
versus the Forces of Evil.
Put together, very calculated and cool.
Yeah.
And so like this plan they're making, it begins with Venomous coming to check on Botsman's project, which is using the Glorbs more efficiently. As far as I understand, Glorbs are meant to be like a rare power source in this universe. So it begins that way, and then we get distracted from it with this party thing. But and then at the end, he mentions your secret project. You're going to give me every detail, and I have this biochip that will turn it into the most dangerous thing alive.
This is what makes me sad, because I want to ship them, but I'm afraid Villainous is just like playing Boxman to get what he wants out of him, which is really sad because Boxman likes him a lot. He's really trying. He's trying as hard as a Boxman can try to win this guy over.
Poor Boxman, he's just being used. He's in this one-sided. He's in this one-sided abusive relationship.
Is this show's greatest achievement that it has made us sympathize with Botsman?
Boxman's pretty, I don't know. He had a whole episode where he got to sing his big number about himself. I was pretty sold on that.
He was always seen sympathetic to me. He was too pathetic not to be sympathetic.
And they're both single dads. That's why it's like great. They should get together. They both have kids. And they're both evil. And just, I don't know, the way they were drawing Venomous in this episode, just like when his shirt got all ripped off in like a sexy way, I was just like, whoa, they know what they're doing here. It's not just us. They know.
Mm-hmm. Considering some of the episodes we've seen in this bunch, it definitely, they could do that, so...
Yeah. So, anything else here with Venomous? Do we have any idea on what this big plan is, or are we just on for the ride here?
I don't know.
He seems to know what he's doing more than Boxman does,
Yeah, he seems to definitely seem to have an interest in KO and the Plaza gang. I think he wants to take them down just as much as Boxman for some reason. Which again, is there something bigger here? Could he be like Laser Blast Cherry Figure? Could they all be the same person? You never know. Like, could he have some person vendetta? I don't know, but
yeah, because if we're connecting him to Shadowy Figure, then we also have to take into account all the TKO stuff of like him trying to awaken his power as well. So, but yeah, all in all, it just seems to be he's looking for power, power sources for something. But yeah, that's another interesting plot line to go through.
It's a fun party too. And one last thing I just want to add, though, I thought definitely Plasma looked awesome in this episode, so points there.
Yeah, the Point headquarters showed up in this episode in the present day, which I guess it's to be expected, but I don't think that had been totally confirmed up to now that it was still functional.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was actually a thing. I mean, we knew about the Academy, but we didn't really hear much about Point itself.
Yeah, so that was an interesting touch to add here. And I guess while we're on this episode, I do want to say like the Botsman on the ship just was all kinds of chaos.
Oh my god, yes.
Like the weirdest part was when he stopped the show to give us a Looney Tunes style shorts in the middle.
That was so random.
Love that. I love how Ian is like the Bugs Bunny of this thing.
What's up, Bots? And he's literally chewing a carrot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of the episode.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
Oh man, Alex.
I'm a sucker for carrots.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought you were a sucker for old school cartoons.
I'm also a sucker for Enid, and it's just her popping up randomly in this episode. But that was very strange.
What about the old school cartoon parody? Like, that was pretty good.
Yeah. Also, there was I think his name is Billiam. He's the rich golden headed guy. Was anybody else creeped out by his design, or is that just me?
I mean, he looks a little, interesting, but he's rich. Rich people have weird faces. I guess that's the thing.
Yeah. I've seen enough of weird rich guys this week. Definitely. So.
Yeah, I don't hang around rich people, so I wouldn't know this.
Yeah, well.
So yeah, here was a very good ship in Professor Venomous and Botsman. But we had, I think, our best ship of the show over back in Red Action.
Well, of course, that one's much better. Yeah. But this is like silly and fun.
But let's talk about this. I think we've covered the big plot elements of this bomb, but now let's go to what was very interesting to see: Enid and Red Action flirting and having a date together. That was nice.
Yeah, even though I have a feeling Red might just be a one-off character, and this whole plot might just be a one-off thing, I still love the episode, so it didn't need to be plot to be a great episode.
Yeah, Michelle, what do you think about this just as an episode in general? Because, like, it is really far off. We're introducing these huge troopers and basically Red Action because we barely knew anything about her, too. How is this just as an episode?
This was a great episode. Oh my god. The pacing was good. I thought the dialogue was really good. I thought Enid and Red's interactions were very genuine. And it was just I love seeing the Hue team. Like, all these like powerful, cool, futuristic ladies fighting. It was so great. It was so good. And I don't know, it is kind of plotty, just not about KO, just like expanding the universe kind of plotty in a way we haven't really done before much. But like, I loved it. I thought it was so good. And it left it open for her and Red to hang out more later in the future. So that's really cool. I thought this was a very strong episode all around, honestly. Had lots of action, had feels, had gay stuff, had good character development, had everything you could want, honestly.
Oh, yeah. It definitely reminds me of old school, like, 80s anime. If you've seen any 80s anime, like Project AKO, it definitely reminded me of that. And I guess a little also of Power Rangers, too, with the color coordinates.
Oh, totally.
That for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, interesting. I tell you though, I'm hoping though to see if Red comes back. I definitely want to see Enid, Red, and Elodie in an episode together, and perhaps Elodie might get a little jealous.
Well, see, that's the thing because
maybe.
we already talked about this a little bit with Elodie, right? Like, oh, that'd be nice if she came back, but let's face it, she hasn't in like 20 episodes.
She's been mentioned though. She keeps getting mentioned, but
Yeah, and so like Red Action, like while she's a great character, I guess we do have to temper our expectations a little bit on her coming back. But yeah, I agree. Like just that their interactions together in this episode was just amazing to watch all the way through. Enid giggling when she's getting caught looking at her, and then at the end, Red Action gets confidence when Enid touches her shoulder. Like,
Yeah.
it's all the little touches that help really make this together.
Also noticed though, KO's barely in that episode. So it shows you how different this show is from Steven Universe in terms of reliance on his main character. That it can do an episode with pretty much very little KO, while Steven Universe is so reliant on Steven for every scene. So I see a little different style here.
Well, actually, that is an interesting point. That like of these 8 episodes, I want to say only 2 of them focused on KO. Because Glory Days barely had KO. He just as a framing device.
That's true.
Plaza Olympics was a KO episode. We Got Hacked was a KO episode. Parents' Day, I guess
more of
sort
an Enid episode, but everyone was kind of there from the main
crew. Back in Red Action, obviously almost no KO. Let's take a moment. Almost no KO. Villains Night Out and Villains Night In. We only like in Villains Night In we got a bit of KO. But
that's accurate. He was not in there very much.
Yeah, so I do agree that it's a good point to make. That like that's also supporting our point that just the characters in this show all around are very good to the point where like we can have an episode on almost any character and have it be good, have potential to be good. So that is definitely a nice touch. Of Red Action, in the as for the Hue Troopers, anybody stood out to you, or were they all?
Well, they're all good. Though I think one part of my favorite for weird reasons, Black Strategy, because she's voiced by Erica Mendez, who is the English voice of Aqua in Little Witch Academia.
Oh well, you're biased there.
Yeah, but she's also the current voice of Sailor Uranus in the new Sailor Moon dub, and the voice of Raiko in Kill la Kill. So she has a lot of anime background. And so does the voice of Green Guts, Jamie Marchi, who does a lot of anime stuff. So we have a lot of anime actors in the show. You know the voice of Fink, that's Laura J. Miller. She does some stuff on Digimon, just like Melissa Fon has done stuff on Digimon. So that's what I love about the show, though. It's definitely they get a lot of anime people to do some voices here.
Right. The only thing that I can remember specifically is when they're introducing themselves and Yellow goes, "Yellow Technique."
Well, it seems like Yellow Technique and Red Action might have kind of been an item in the past. You saw Enid looking through like the Instagram with the picture of them together, and at the very end, Yellow Technique's like, "Oh, like she seems different. Good for her," and just leaves. It's like she gave her blessing, basically. And so I think that's kind of interesting.
It was an interesting lingering shot there.
I do have this out there theory when this episode first aired, and that could be that Yellow could be a descendant of Elodie, but that's really
you just want to attach Elodie to everything.
Out there. That's pretty out there, Steve.
Now, an important question here, is this a time paradox? Because Red Action took this crystal that was supposed to have been found by her previous generations.
I don't know if OKKO wants to worry about that. It's entirely possible it is, though.
Maybe so, but who cares? I love the episode.
Good opinion. Good opinion. Who cares? I just wanted to bring that objection in, but yeah, like the whole lore thing with like, this rock guy found the crystal and gave it to the Hue Troopers to protect from a disaster. I kind of got lost in that section. Like, okay,
was a show that I have too much like continuity, like the strict continuity. Like at the end of We Got Hacked, you saw what happened to KO, what happened to him, and so they sometimes like to have these endings with these gags and stuff that. They pretty much say, pay no attention to the next episode, including the dog face thing. So it's...
Yeah, I guess all in all, the fact that it doesn't put as much emphasis on that helps this episode because you're not worried about catching the details. You're just enjoying the ride, pretty much. Yeah, I think we've covered most of that episode. Any other red action takes you want to give here?
I like her. I think she's really cool. And I just like that they did the whole, like, both of them thought the other was way cooler and therefore too intimidating to initiate a hangout, which is very relatable and super cute.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. I just want to see Red Action come back and heck,
Too.
even more of the Stormtroopers too, because I like them too. Maybe have like, have just more episodes like that. Even though I know that's not the main plot, but I think that'd be fun. Red Action might be. Maybe I'm being biased, but the best episode of the series so far, at least the most progressive one.
Whoa.
Well, definitely most progressive. I'll give you that.
Okay.
Best episode is.
And no more POW cards. I think that's progressive in a different way too.
Yeah.
And we barely. You just remind me. We barely talk about Dendy. I mean, how?
Well, let's move on to that episode, shall we? We got hacked. This was a weird episode.
Yeah, it was. That might have been my least favorite from the slew we were looking at.
They have a studio audience. They seem like they heard a studio audience sound at various points.
Like the canned laughter.
Speaking of studio audience, just before we get to this episode, so just back to let's take a moment. Like that episode began with the laugh track when Carol entered the store, and there was reaction noises. That was a weird decision. But yeah, back to Dendy. She's the one more associated with the laugh track. But yeah,
it seemed like when he entered, there was applause,
No, yeah, that's been a running gag. I've heard that's from their first appearance. I think they were already doing that. But yeah, that's I always get a chuckle whenever they do. Yay! Yeah, I want to say because we also have Parents' Day, and I think that's supposed to be the Halloween episode. But honestly, this episode got the tone better of just dread and zombie creepiness.
Mm-hmm.
I guess just any general opinions on favorite parts of the episode, or if it's a bad episode, or anything.
I don't think it's a bad episode. It's just kind of weird, and I'm sure they had a lot of fun with doing the 3D animation as a change in style for the episode, but I don't know. I mean, they all looked really creepy when they were rendered that way with the hack virus. Dendy continued to be awesome. Yeah. That's about what I've got.
I love how Dendy kind of gets angry in her own way at
KO.
Yeah,
yep.
But without really getting angry, she's like, okay. She's very calm, but you can tell she is angry.
And she keeps bringing it up. I hope
she
know that.
She wants him to apologize, yeah, and he finally does.
Yeah, and just the ending part is when they hug, and it's at least we will end our existence together.
Oh, that's a very shippy moment.
Yeah, it was very sweet.
I'm hoping maybe in the future, maybe Eden and Red Action have that type of moment too.
Oh, well, the fandom will explode if we get that. But KO and Dendy are kind of like the Connie and Steven, I guess, where it's just cute to watch them interact. You're not into this, Michelle?
No. I think it's sweet, and it hasn't gotten to a point where it feels like a romance. They don't hug each other and blush all the time. So I think they have a very sweet friendship, and that's how early Steve and Connie felt a lot too. So I think it's really nice it is.
I'm wondering hopefully we might see a Dendy Fink fight. I kind of want to see that, especially since I learned now that their voice actresses, they got sort of history, but it's
what's the gossip?
Both on the Digimon dub, the old school Digimon dub. So
by history, he means they work together.
Okay, not like history.
But yeah, but I especially like to see what Dendy just say when Fink tried to attack KO, oh no, you don't hurt him. And just get mad, but in her own way, the calm mad like we saw in this episode.
Yeah, and also I just want to say the ending in particular is very strange because you have KO being the only one left with a CGI head. Mr. Gar says I think you should fix this, and it just ends with Dendy laughing and KO laughing too, and it's okay. But yeah, so that was an episode.
That was definitely an episode.
Let's see here. We also other things we have not talked about yet. Let's head over to Parents' Day. We can take a visit over there to Enid's family life. We have the introduction of Bernard and Wilhelmina. Bernard is, as described by Rad, Bernard is a hot werewolf and Wilhelmina is a hot vampire.
Yes! And Rad's awesome. He's like, hot mom and hot dad. Like, what's Enid gotta be worried and embarrassed about? It's just like, I love that take from Rad. It's so good.
Yeah. And hot, take that, Twilight.
Hot take for hot parents.
This was. I'd say this was a very funny episode, like all the way through.
Good episode
Because it begins with
relatable episode.
Yeah, very relatable for all of us who have had awkward interactions with other people's parents.
And our own parents, for
and
sure.
our own. We begin actually seeing Rad's parents, Ofang and Theodosia, and they're just your classic aliens. Where are the ray guns?
Yeah. And doesn't his dad fall and say blorp?
Yeah, I think he says say blorp.
Yeah.
And Enid is confronted by where are her parents, and she says, "Anyway, gotta go bye," and she just falls backwards into a hole.
Fails.
Yeah. So they stalk her, and they find out she lives in a haunted house, and she has a witch outfit that she wears at home.
That's cool.
Yeah, I really like the witch outfit.
Yeah, she looks good as a witch, honestly.
Yeah.
And you know, I first saw that.
Oh, I'm sorry that came out creepy.
Yeah, that witch.
I've seen too much fan art already.
Oh,
You know-
that's fair.
I first saw that outfit, like the thumbnail for the Cartoon Network app showed her in that witch outfit, so I sort of was spoiled a bit. But at first I thought it was just a weird Halloween episode, and that was her costume. But
Yeah, because KO initially reacts like, "Oh, she's going trick or treating without us."
Yeah, without us, it was so pure.
Yeah, and then they get invited in. Rad begins making a bunch of haunted house jokes. Any skeletons in the closet? Bats in the belfry?
And the mom's just like, yeah! She like answers all of them very seriously while Enid like slowly loses her mind.
well, what about those little monsters in the basement? That definitely feels homage to Casper.
Yeah, the ghosts in the basement were annoying to me. Like I didn't
But
get much out of them, but
Well, I always found Casper's uncles annoying too, so it was a perfect homage.
I guess
I
are
will
ghosts meant to
say-
be annoying?
Honestly, I really like how a lot of the minor characters have like these very like particular voices, like the kind of voices I just don't hear cartoon characters have in other shows, and I just find that like very pleasing somehow. Like I really like Fink's voice too, just like these, you know what I mean, like these very like kind of silly wacky voices. They're so good though. I really like them.
Yeah, well,
I guess these guys
Fink,
had like a bit of an accent, like was it like a southern accent or what?
I don't
kind
know,
of?
there's something though. I'll have to
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah,
There was definitely something there.
Yeah, Fink's voice definitely sounds familiar to me. That's why I looked it up. And besides Digimon, she's also the voice of Lisa Loud in the Loud House. I don't know if you've seen that show. That's how she sound familiar. That's why I figured it had to be Laura, who is the voice of that, because definitely sounded sort of like Lisa, who sort of reminds me of Dendy, but is not Dendy. So.
Yeah, and just so in regards to this episode, it ends with Enid turning into like a tornado type thing to trap the possessed people. That animation was pretty cool to look at. The parents become proud of her. They call her a Winja.
Just like such a awful parent thing to do. Just like come up with the silly word you think is great, and your child immediately hates it.
Yeah, but it was cute to see them like be proud of her.
Yeah,
and
it was really cute.
And I love the whole Rad Enid talk, pretty much saying that's how parents are. Like, we all have sort of parents that sort of embarrassing, but Rad pretty much tells you that we're not laughing at you, so it's okay.
Yeah, I really liked that Rad interaction at the end. It was sweet. Oh.
It was really sweet, and I keep wondering if they're ever gonna be an item, and not that I want that, because again, like I like friendships more in general. But I do think they're progressing at like a believably slow and reasonable pace. in getting closer to each other and being more real with each other, which like kind of was their problem when they were younger, right? Like especially Rad, he was just very insecure and didn't know how to be himself. So I thought this was a really great moment for them to like actually have a talk and be genuine for once instead of just relentlessly teasing each other.
Uh-huh. And other highlights from this episode. Let's see what else. For especially for Steve. This is where we get the Elodie name drop.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's
Yeah.
visited since Elodie.
Keep mentioning her.
yeah.
She gotta come back some point. And the ending
But
of her episode.
by keep mentioning her, this is the only time she was mentioned in these 8 episodes.
I know,
but all right.
But the ending of that, the ending of the you gotta care definitely implied that there's more to her. That her story might not be done yet. But
yeah. We'll bring her back eventually. But yeah, just a nice reminder here. Also, at some point, Enid says like, "Why are you punishing me?" and looks up to heaven, and the god is Corn.
Good. That was so good, and Corn God's just like, eh.
He just shrug emoji. Yeah. So I between this show and Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Corn has a very important place in pop culture, it seems.
yeah. Also, between this and Star vs. Forces of Evil, rich people are very weird.
Well, yeah, that's true. I get, according to what you guys have told me, that's also a thing just everywhere. So I'll take your word for it. However, if any of you worship Corn, please let us know. I would like to know if that's a phenomenon that happens in real life.
Well, you better watch. Some people, you might get confused with some people who worship the band Corn. So.
Well, that guy who was in Corn was in an episode of OKKO earlier this year. So. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. Now that we have, we can find. We're wrapping up here. We haven't really talked about Fink. Fink's episode was Villain's Night In.
Yeah, that's the episode I want to talk about. That's a very good episode.
Yeah, that was the most recently aired one that we're actually recording almost just like an hour after it aired, so this one's a bit fresher.
And and this episode makes me love even more the Boxman children. Though I wonder where was Raymond doing all this, but
yeah, I was thinking the same thing, and I wonder if they're going for like Shannon and Daryl are the childish ones, and Raymond's like the aloof brothers. Like, we're too old for this stuff. We gotta go do like big people things.
Maybe they just find it unrealistic though that maybe like Fink like could handle 3 people, but you could handle 2 of them.
Yeah, Michelle, your thoughts on Botsman's children and/or Fink here?
I think they're all very precious, and I like them a lot. I thought I was gonna hate them when they first became a thing, but they have such an amazing family dynamic, and they're very much children, and I think that's super great.
And it also doesn't hurt the fact that Boxman himself is also very much like a man child.
Yeah, totally. So it's just like, it's so wonderful because they're so flawed, and yeah, it's great. Even like Jethro, I kind of have like a place in my heart for at this point.
Yeah, where was Jethro here?
He's probably his bedtime. He's one of the youngest, isn't he? Yeah, so he's probably in bed.
Besides, I don't want Fink near Jethro. It might. Who knows what?
Yeah, that could mean death for Jethro.
I mean, Fink definitely tried to corrupt these 2 precious robot children in this episode. They were very happy watching their dad's Sesame Street style videos on obeying your parents, and Fink decides to show them more, I guess, violent videos on her phone. We also get a. Yes, Steve?
Yeah, I wonder what Fink was showing. Was showing like a horror movie or something?
I think it's just general violence. Like, I guess maybe like somebody getting chainsawed. I don't know. Also, we have the game where they're playing house, and she rebels, and it's like, I've awakened your free will. I enjoyed that part very much. Let's see here. And then at the end, it ends with Fink activating this outfit with a glorp, the same power substance that was referenced in the previous episode, and it gives her like these superpowers. So that might end up being important later. I don't know, but it was a nice thing to look at Fink being like, overpowering people.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and actually we do get a running gag near the end of, wait, rats can go through the toilet? And I'm not sure, is this an urban legend? I just thought this was accepted, that rats are in the sewers.
Ugh.
But like to go through toilets, I think that was more could they survive? Could they make it all the way through a toilet from the sewer? Answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think Fink is a special kind of rat. Like she's an exception.
I kind of wonder though, what is Fink? Is she an actual like? Is she also like in a creation of villainous or is she like a rat actually? When deploying him, she could just be like very much like those like Boxman's children, only she may not know it.
I guess, although like we have bunnies walking around and people that look like other animals, so like I think Fink is just a rat. I think that's the end of it, but yeah, that's possible. Yeah, so I guess there's other than just them Shannon and Daryl being kind of cute. I guess there's not that much substance to this episode, but it was definitely funny to watch at times.
Yeah,
I agree.
I agree too. I also don't like to see maybe. I do feel it was unfair though how our heroes so like beat up our precious robot children because they weren't trying to do anything bad this episode.
Well.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, it would have been nice to see them go the route of in the last Venomous episode where they actually kicked KOs and their butts instead. But
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now was Daryl and Shannon better in this episode or in Plaza Olympics?
Oh, I forgot they were in an episode, but that was a good one too. That was the one where they actually got their own participation trophy and they won, and that also an episode when they're very much Team Rocket in that episode. Like,
yeah, I was into it.
Yeah, Plaza Olympics is the last episode we haven't really talked about, just because there's not much here, I guess. Although we do have Potato and Colwert having big roles. Potato appeared previously. I think her only major appearance was at the end of that. The furry episode is the only way I can remember calling it. But
yeah.
But Colwert has just appeared in the background of a bunch of episodes. And any thoughts on either of them? Like, at least to me, Colwert came off very annoying, even to the end. And I guess that was the point, but and any thoughts?
It's fine. I love the...
It's fine.
Yep.
Yeah. I love the box when they got their reward and they were so happy and they actually got a win in their own minds. They got a happy ending, so there's that.
Yeah, that was cute. We also have let's see, other things. I'm just trying to pick out stuff that would even be worth pointing out.
Oh, I love how the rules saying there's no rules saying that you can't do this or you can't do that. I thought that was very funny. I think that will also remind me of homage to the movie Air Bud. I don't know, anyone remember that movie?
I remember vaguely.
Yeah. There's no rule a dog can't be on the basketball team. That's what they remind me this year. Saying
oh my gosh.
That evil robots can't be part of Plaza Olympics.
I'm glad Air Bud addressed that early in the franchise.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have that. I enjoyed with the judging. Carol giving KO a high score. It's like, it's for your character, or a low score actually. And it's like, sorry,
yeah,
building
that was
your
really
character.
sweet.
Yeah.
We had that. At the end, Brandon eats strawberries in front of the strawberry girl, and
she gets so repulsed.
Yeah. So,
you gotta be more tactful, man.
Yeah.
Know your audience.
Brandon is anything if not tactful from his previous appearances in the show. Yeah, and anything else you want to highlight here? Because I think this the weakest episode of the bunch.
Oh, might be.
I think We Got Hacked is my least favorite, honestly.
Yeah.
I like Plaza Olympics a bit more than that one.
I agree. Yeah, We Got Hacked. Yeah, that's also sort of a generic episode, even though it's like the only Dendy episode, and I love Dendy, but they all can't be gems.
Yeah, I think Dendy and the more unique tone of that episode helped out a lot, whereas this one is it's just kind of going through emotions a little bit more. But yeah, so all in all, I guess we covered the big episodes right at the beginning, and then we kind of petered out at the end here. But yeah, we began with Glory Days, which was I think a really good episode. And we ended with Villains Night In, Villains Night Out, which I think is a successful two-parter. So, all in all, I'd say it's a above above average batch of episodes here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Some of my
Yeah.
faves from the whole season, definitely.
Oh yeah, this batch was top notch. I can't really think of one episode that's really bad. Yeah, sure. Some episodes are weaker than the others. Like we got hacked. Plaza Olympics might be weaker than the other ones, but those were still good episodes.
Yeah, I do want to end this on a high note, and I just want to say of my favorites, I think Back in Red Action ends up being my favorite just because it was very exciting and fun to watch from beginning to end. Although the plot episodes like Let's Take a Moment and Glory Days, I think those were really good too. And Parents' Day was fun to watch as well. But I think I'd go Back in Red Action. You guys have any different takes on what was the best one of this group?
No, I love Back in Red Action was my favorite. No matter it was decided 2 weeks ago when I saw the episode.
You, Michelle?
For favorites?
Yeah.
I mean, Back in Red Action, for the gay. But I don't know. I thought Parents' Day was a pretty strong episode.
Yeah.
And the fact that it had no plot relevant stuff and it was still so entertaining, I think that might be my number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can definitely see you arguing that Parents' Day was the best of this, just because it is also really good on the humor and also good on the characterization of Enid. You have that rad interaction at the end. So it definitely has a lot of strong points there as well.
Yeah, those 2 episodes probably are the best ones. Those are both Enid episodes. Though I like
coincidence.
Though Villain's Night Out was
Villain's Night Out was pretty fun, honestly, too.
No, Villain's Night In, my number 3, probably.
Oh, Villain's Night In.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd go Out over In, but...
I would go Out over In, too, but, to each their own.
Yeah. Make it known that this is not about belly buttons, but about the episodes. But yeah, on that note, we'll be wrapping up here. We don't know how much episodes left are scheduled to air this year. As far as we know, there's a Let's Watch the Pilot episode coming at some point, but that's about it.
I think there's 4 episodes left of the first season. If it's 52 episodes.
Yeah, but we info right at this moment we're recording is very thin, so you'll just have to keep alert. Once we have a couple of episodes in the pipeline, we'll begin thinking about doing another podcast. Yeah, but we thank all of our listeners who are keeping up with us on this coverage of OKKO. And,
thanks, guys.
Yeah, really, thank you to anybody who's listening. And you can let us know if you're listening, what your thoughts are on these episodes or just on the show in general at overlyanimated.com. You can comment there. You can also join us on Discord if you want to chat with us about OKKO or any other show. You can join us there at overlyanimated.com/Discord. Of course, we would always appreciate if you could support us financially via Patreon. You can find how to do that at patreon.com/overlyanimated. We thank all of our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Lily, aka Panda Lily. And thanks as always to our patron executive producers, John, Ryan, Steve, Andy, Hugh, and yours truly. As for other podcasts right now, we just finished up our Starvember coverage of Star vs. the Forces of Evil. So if you want to catch up on those podcasts, they're up there. We did Steven Universe fairly recently. Yeah. And we're also still covering Mysticons. You can catch up on that show if you like OKKO. I think it's just goofy enough that it's a similar tone, but maybe a bit more plot focused. But yeah, we're just covering a lot of different style shows here on Overly Animated, and we definitely, if you like OKKO, then you'll probably like a lot of the other shows that we cover here on the site. But yeah, any final thoughts, guys, before we sign off?
Good times. Excited for the end of season 1, which will happen eventually. I mean, we're getting close. Less than 10 episodes away now, right?
Yeah. One would think. One would
think.
Yeah. I definitely need to see Red come back. I'm excited to see Red come back, and we'll find out more what's going on with Point. Let's see if your theory is Carol really evil or not. I really don't think she is, but I just perhaps KO's dad might be a villain here, so we'll see.
Yeah, so tune in next time to find out if KO's entire family has gone evil, okay? So on that note, thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you next time. Adios.
All right, bye.
Bye.